This is the Spiritual Tea Report with your host, Hathor Sekma, and we are back with Cardi B and the Twins, Part 3. In the Part 1, we went over the spiritual facial recognition, or better known as spiritual face reading on Stefan and Offset, because I noticed that these two have a lot of features that are very similar, but faces are always distinctive where you can see the differences. So we went over that in part 1. You need to check that out. It's pretty good. And then on part 2, we went over more so Stefan Diggs' relationship with Cardi B. And we just focus on their love and compatibility, how they are in harmony, and what's their weaknesses and strengths. And we also went over 2026. What is that looking like for their future? You got to go check that out. Great information. But now we are getting into part 3 of Cardi B and the Twins. And we're going to focus on Offset and Cardi B's relationship and look at their love and compatibility and get into everything of how they work together in harmony, disharmony, and what is 2026 looking like for Offset and Cardi. Will they be in court discussing their divorce, or will they be back together? So stay tuned. We're about to get into this. So now we're getting into Offset and Cardi B. And, I know y'all heard enough of them, but this has been an ongoing thing. And I did Cardi B and Offset more than once. And I knew that they were coming to a point where they would have to split up. Because even when I first heard about Offset and Cardi coming together, I was like, ooh, that's a big mistake. And looking at the numbers, it's not good. This is something that in their nurturing aspect, because Offset is his birthday. Let me tell you that first. His birthday is December the 14th, 1991. His soul contract numbers break down to 352, and he's a Sag. He's another Sag, but he's a different Sag. If you listen to part 1, I keep referring back to that. Go watch part 1 because I get into the different Sag and all of that. But he is a December Sag. He's not a November Sag. So he works with a lot of energy. And then we have Cardi, who's a Libra. I already told you her numbers. So when they come together and their nurturing aspect of the month, how they deal with their emotions is their needs. This is family. This is something that is organized. This is business. It's family, business. And what Cardi was taking on was she was taking on the leadership form. She likes to take the lead. And this is where they have that conflict, because they both want lead, which caused duality in the home. And Cardi would definitely voice her need for control and how things needed to be. And Offset would sometimes oblige and deal with it, but then there would become those times when the duality would come in, because they're coming from two different worlds, definitely with the culture background and how they do things. And Offset is more so, he just needs to feel like if we're working together and there needs to be structure, is it going to make change for the good in the relationship, in their relationship. So how they think together, it is about another energy of 7. And that energy is about transitioning and change and upliftment. And if they could come together to bring that uplifting energy, then wouldn't cause the negative energy, how they think, which could be very psychological. Why the psychological things would come to play is because Cardi, she's very verbal. And I don't know if Offset has said that, but seeing with this energy, the verbal, like, she could serve out some verbal abuse to him, and those words really land on him and cause an energy where he's very upset. And Cardi, when they would get into these arguments or these disagreements of how they think, she would need to get away, because his energy, like I said in part 1, is that he can get very aggressive. And these two need to go to their separate corners at times, because his communication could be fiery to her, where she's going to come back at him like, hey, this is not feeling good. I don't like how you're saying certain things. So it's always a back and forth between them of who's boss. Oh, why are you saying that? How are you saying that? So this is a problem. So then we get into how they naturally are this year. 2025 is a lot of communication going on. There's a lot of back and forth going on between the two. And this is causing a lot of duality in Cardi B's world, where I said earlier that she'll flip on Stefan when she's getting into, these angry debates and they're talking about money. I do see money in there where they're going back and forth about the money. This is also causing Offset to not be able to really transition like he wants to. He wants to transition to letting go of Cardi and letting go of those things, but it's very hard when he wants his control over her life. He definitely seen the numbers. He still wants that control. And I said that Stefan and Offset are people who need that control. But by next year, we're looking at 2026 for these guys, and I'm still seeing that there is something spiritual that could bring them together, something of this transitioning. um Cardi may be more open to talking about them being a family if Offset can get over his energy, because not only does he have the 3 in the month, he's also going to have the 3 next year in the year. So with that being that 3, Cardi B right now is in the 3 energy of 2025. She has that 3 energy where it's up and down. It's all, emotions, anger, happiness, all of that. She's up and down in her emotions and things that are going on in her energy. It's funny because Offset is going into that in 2026, which will make him be a little bit more selfish than he should be. And that's the biggest thing with Cardi, is that he's always had that selfish side that she can't understand. So he would have to sacrifice some things, sacrifice some things to be within the family. Now, this can be, I could be even reading this wrong, where this could be that these guys are in court and they're now dealing with the divorce. That could happen. So depending on, this is where I leave it, is depending on how Offset acts towards the energy of him being in the year of 2026. If he deals with it in the right way, with getting himself together and standing on business and standing on who he is, he can get his family back. If he doesn't, to court it is, and y'all are going to battle it out. And beware, because Cardi will be feeling really balanced at coming at you and getting the judge to sway her way. So, Offset could get his family back, because I don't see Cardi ending up with Stefan Diggs. I don't see her staying with him. I see that relationship ending by 2026. So, you know, I do, to say all of this, I do say that, she's getting her lick back. Right now, Cardi's getting her lick back, and he needs to feel this. And hopefully, Offset, you'll get it together and get your family back and actually cherish who you have in your life. Or, y'all go and y'all going to end up battling in 2026 and, dealing with spousal support and custody, child, all of that mess. So, best of luck for those two. And, Cardi, enjoy stuff on while it lasts. And this is the Spiritual Tea Report with Hathor Sakma L. Peace.